All right, we are going now to the tour of the Oyster Bay Bar and Hotel. You look like you're ready for Halloween. Okay.
Well, my sister worked here 5 or 6 years ago. She's moved away since then, but she worked here. She was closing down the bar with a coworker, and I guess the door swung open, and her coworker started talking to someone that was walking through the room, and there was nobody else in the building that they thought, and walked through, and her coworker was just talking and having this conversation, and she's like, okay. And she ran and locked the door. And my sister was like, why did you do that? What's going on? And she says, the coworker says, didn't you see that man that walked in and was telling us to lock the door? And
wow.
Yeah, and so And so I guess he walked through and walked up the stairs and disappeared. And yeah, they locked the door, and about that time this drunk guy was banging on the door out there. My sister was scared to death. She's like, she's skeptical, and she didn't, but it scared her half to death. Yeah. And so I guess Seth Bullock is supposed to be one that protected women. He was a protector of women.
And so he was telling her to lock the door.
Go lock the door. He didn't want that man in here, and so that really freaked her out.
Like that. She went down the sidewalk. She was
Are you having fun, Carol?
This was last Sunday.
We'll see.
And I've got plenty of awkward little stories. So, because in 1879 it burned, 1883 was the Great Flood. This flood is actually illustrated in this picture. This is after it crested, and I'll pass this down to you guys. We show this actually for a couple of reasons. I'll tell you about the flood first. The flood was said to be so vast that it spanned rim to rim right here at Wall Street, which is this point of rock is right behind the Bullock. So it ran across to here, which comes out right behind the parking garage. Said to have ran rim to rim, and in the center was anywhere from 10 to 12 foot deep.
Wow.
So in modern times, we've never, ever seen anything like that. But there's dozens and dozens of accounts of girls who try to end their life through drug overdose. And men too, but a lot more so the women. A lot of the men, I'm coming to realize, were Civil War vets. We're right in that time frame, 8-10 years removed. But it really shows in their mentality. A gold miner's lifestyle would really actually be pretty ideal for somebody who had gone through that war and survived. But in their mentality is where it shows. They were very desensitized, I guess is a good word, to violence. They didn't solve their problems by, we'll go out in the street and have a dust up and then we'll be buddies after that. No, the dust up would start it. And 2-3 days later, they'd wait for you. It isn't the honorable Hollywood ending, they'd wait for you along the trail. A lot of people shot in the back. But a real common trick was they would wait for people to go to bed. They knew everybody had to sleep, and if they had formed a grudge or there'd been a fight, they'd wait for you to go to bed, and 2-3 of them, one kick in the front, one kick in the back, and shotgun you right in your bed. And a lot of our spirits in this town seem to be wanderers. We have our own resident here. She lives on the 3rd floor. So a very traumatic end for her. and that has led us to believe she is the one who inhabits the 3rd floor. Both Ghost Adventures and the Dead Files picked up voice recording of a woman sobbing up on the 3rd floor. And also the owner has seen her, a gal who leased the 3rd floor for photography seen her. And we had a gal, Kathleen, who worked here, who's seen her up in the hallway. They all described her as a very beautiful red-headed woman in a green dress. And according to the old articles, Maggie was a tremendously beautiful woman, and she would have had to have been. She had a room on the 3rd floor. The Black Hills had been guaranteed to the 3 Great Plains Indian tribes in the Laramie Treaty of 1868 that no white man should ever tread here. That was because to this day, the Black Hills is held as the holiest place on the planet for those 3 tribes. So when we came in, it was the last attempt, it was a violation, and the last violation of any treaty between the government and those tribes. This was the catalyst for the Great Plains Indian Wars. Custer being killed was just the first shot. And unfortunately, all these compounding factors between the alcoholism, the drug use, the isolation, the fact that they got the hell beat out of them all the time, drove a lot of them to suicide, just like Maggie. The brothel business has always been big business in Deadwood. The last brothel house was closed in May of 1980. But yeah, nothing super special about this room. The only thing that really strange that happens in this room, for some reason, they seem to be able to reach out and touch people in this room. The owner, Mr. Russo's, had a couple friends stay in this room. They both reported having their arms held down to their sides. And when Dead Files brought their cleanser here, their shaman, and they did a cleansing with the owner, he laid down in this room after they got done doing all the production work and stuff. He woke up to his arm being drug across his chest. The next day, he had a massive heart attack.